Today I'm going to be speaking a little bit about what it was like to get my Ocrevus infusion, especially with everything that's going on in the world. It kind of makes the experience much different to normally getting the infusion, and the energy around it and the energy within yourself is so much different because you are not only receiving medication, but there's also a little bit of that fear when going into the hospital. At least that was my experience, and of course my experience is not everyone's experience, but I do just want to quickly name and say that it's okay if having the infusion during this time is a little bit scary and is a little bit daunting, because all of our experiences are valid and we have a right to really, feel all the feelings that we are feeling during that time. Especially is really intense. It's not easy getting an infusion, and then given the circumstances of everything that's been going on, it makes the experience a lot more intense, to say the least. And so if you are experiencing that, then just know that it's okay to experience that, and you don't have to change how you feel just because you might think that it's silly and that you shouldn't be worried or upset or nervous. That is all completely fine and it's all completely valid. It took me a little while to edit this video and to get it up for you guys, and the reason being is because I, like everyone else, have been experiencing a lot of ebbs and flows in my emotions, and some days I feel so up, other days I feel so low, and so I just couldn't get myself to sit down and film the video. I have received the infusion already, and the experience was actually really wonderful, even though the build-up was quite daunting. But I just couldn't sit down and film, and I wanted to make sure that I was in the right space with the right state of mind before I hop on and film a video just for the sake of filming. And so for anyone that's getting their Ocrevus infusion in general, but particularly now in the time that we're living in, and we're probably going to be going through this for a lot longer than this video is for you, it's all about what to expect, what you should pack, what you should bring, and whatnot. And so for starters, you always want to be prepared, and for me this is the most important thing about getting the infusion, is that I like to be prepared and I like to have a lot of things with me, even if I don't land up using all of those things. So the basic things, given today's environment, is that you need extra masks. You don't want to be putting on the same mask that you are taking off, especially because you're in a hospital environment. It's just better to be safe, on the safe side of things. So I took a couple of different masks. The necessities, which would definitely be hand sanitizer and baby wipes or antiseptic wipes. These are very important, especially given the circumstances and with what's going on in the world. So I'm definitely bringing about 3 of these, and I have a couple more hand sanitizers just so that I can be as prepared as possible. I also bring some hair ponies to get my hair out of my face if I feel like I need to. I like to have some rehydrates. I also bring some ginger tea. Ginger tea is very important, especially if you get nauseous or if you get a sore throat. The Ocrevus infusion often gives you a very similar feeling to having the common cold, so ginger tea is a great way to soothe the sore throat. I also bring a cable in case I need to charge any of my devices. I like to have crystals to make me feel more supported, and this is the book I'm currently reading. I'm probably going to bring a couple of books. You might not feel like you could actually read a book, especially since the Benadryl makes you very, very drowsy. But it's nice to just have it for comfort, especially in the beginning and if there's going to be a lot of waiting around. Also bringing my rose quartz for some extra love. I'm bringing my lapis lazuli. So for me, a notebook is also one of those things that is a must, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to use it. It's nice to just write about your experiences, whether it be your emotional experiences or if you have any concerns that you would later want to speak to your neurologist about. I think it's really important to just document what happens, and that way you can look back on it and you can perhaps bring extra things for next time, or you can just speak to your doctor about what's going on. Often after the infusion's done, we forget everything that happened, and so it's important to just have your own kind of documentation to get you through, and also you can draw and entertain yourself. For me, headphones is a must. I really like to just zone out and be in my own space and in my own bubble. It's really important that I feel like I have a safe space to go to when things are getting a little bit much. So I always have a lot of podcasts saved onto my phone, or I'll bring my laptop, and that way I can just zone out, put on a movie, put on a podcast, and just be in my own world. I'm also a huge fan of oracle cards, tarot, and all things woo-woo, so this is definitely going to be super fun to be doing while I'm on the infusion. I haven't seen anyone else do one of these videos, and I think that it's really helpful to know what to pack and to be prepared. So my essentials are going to go in this bag. This bag's cool because it has this clippy thing, which means it can either act as just like a toiletry bag, or it can also be a handbag. My essentials like my phone, my hand sanitizer, the wet wipes, all that kind of stuff are gonna all go inside here, just so that these things that I really need to quickly grab will be readily available for me. And make sure you have your food. If the hospital doesn't bring you food, make sure you pack some food for yourself. I always make sure that I have a really healthy, fresh juice with me. I feel like this just really makes the process a lot better because I'm feeling energized, I'm feeling good. These are really important things for me during the process, because I often walk away from the infusion feeling a little bit low and just feeling like it was quite intense for me. Of course, we're all different and you're all going to have different experiences of it. I always say never wear a pullover jumper or jersey. You always want to have something that is zippable so that you can have your arm out, as opposed to being like locked in something, because the infusion, if it's on your hand or your vein over here, where it is located on your arm, you don't ever want to be stuck in your jersey, because if it's not zippable and you haven't unzipped it prior to the infusion, you won't be able to take it off if you get hot. And since, excuse the dog barking, and since it is normal to get a lot of hot flushes, you don't ever want to feel like you're too hot in your items of clothing. And so second of all, with going to the bathroom a lot, since you're having an infusion, there's going to be a lot of liquid passing through your body. You always want to be wearing something that is easy to take off and on when you go to the bathroom. So I don't really like having zips or buttons, especially because your hand is probably going to be really sore from the needle being in there, and so you don't want to be struggling to unzip or zip or having any pressure. I definitely recommend you watch the video that I've recorded before about Ocrevus and everything you need to expect. You can just look through my videos and find it, because in that video I go through in depth all the things that you need to prepare for your Ocrevus infusion, from clothes to wear to pillows to all the sorts of things. So definitely check that video out if you want something that's more in depth. So back to what I went through during this infusion. I actually found this infusion was really good. I've been on this medication now for a couple of years, so I knew what to expect, and my body also knew what to expect. So I didn't find that this infusion was particularly hard or that I struggled during it. It was actually a very pleasant experience. If your experiences are not so pleasant, don't worry. I completely understand. You know, we're all so different and our bodies react to the medication really differently. So I always know that I might sometimes have a really good and positive experience, and other times it might be more intense, and that's just the way it goes when you're on these infusions. Every time is going to be different. My specific time was really nice, and other than having a lot of masks and hand sanitizer and perhaps gloves and a lot of wipes, there's not really much different to getting it during this time period versus when things were normal. Besides having the masks and hand sanitizer and wet wipes and all those things, getting the infusion this time was not that different to when everything was different. per se, except for the fact that the hospital was a lot more quiet, and perhaps that's something that you can expect, although it might not be that way for everyone, but that was just my experience. The hospital was a lot more quiet, and other than that, don't be too scared. And that was something that I really felt, is that when the whole experience began, I just realized that, you know, this was the same as every other time that I had it. And yes, it's different in the sense that we're wearing masks and it feels scary and the energy feels a lot different, but at the end of the day, your body knows this, and you'll move through it in the way that you did when everything was different and when everything was the way it was before. You'll move through it the same way that you did then. Exactly the way you did then will be how you move through it now. Just be really, really gentle with yourself, be kind to yourself, nurture yourself, give yourself the nutrients your body needs at the end of the day. Rest, sleep is so important, especially after this infusion. Eat properly and just take everything as it comes. Don't fear too much about everything that's been going on. Just arrive at the hospital, be cautious, of course, be extremely cautious, keep your mask on, but other than that, just breathe and embrace whatever happens, and just be calm throughout the whole process, because there's no point fearing or getting yourself into a state. However, if you do land up getting yourself into a state or you are really scared, also just know that that's okay, because we have these experiences and they can be very intense, and it's okay however we feel. However you feel is completely valid and completely normal. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you liked the footage that I shot and what I showed, and I will definitely be sure to vlog on my next infusion, which is coming up soon actually. So yes, I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are. Lots and lots of love. Soch, Soch,